Good morning. Happy New Year, though it's January 31st. This is the first episode of Creepy Campfire Stories. Uncle Benny's Creepy Campfire Stories that I've done this year that may turn out to be successful. I of course, have made a video or two over the past month since the last one that was broadcast December 20th, and had technical issues, so they never made it. Missing audio, things like that. How would you like to spend a whole 45 minutes to an hour talking and then find out nothing was recorded? Yeah. So it goes. And we're here today to deal with some of the issues of our day, because we are being assaulted day and night and day on every front. You're assaulted when you go to the grocery store. You're assaulted when you sit in front of your Jesuit-trained preacher in the pulpit. You're assaulted when you turn on the television. You're assaulted when you walk into your gym and they're playing music that has very lascivious lyrics to it. I'm thinking of one in the gym that I work out in. You know, you've got children and women, and granted, a lot of things go over people's head, but there's an energy, especially to the spoken word and to the singing word, and you can't escape it. It does have an effect. So what I'm thinking of, and you know, this is an adult show. It is not made for children, but I'm not going to put an age restriction on it, because I think the powers that shouldn't be, they don't put an age restriction on the filth that they pour into your children's minds. So when dealing with the subject matter, it's important to know who your enemy is and what their tactics are and some of their weapons. And for example, so I have to illustrate what I'm talking about. For example, as I say, you're under assault. We're under assault continually. And, you know, I hear they must have a soundtrack. Maybe somebody collated a bunch of songs. But, you know, I hear it all the time. There's a rap song from the 90s, or I'm sorry, hip-hop, whatever it was. You might recognize the melody. I'll do it briefly. I wasn't planning this. This is not scripted. As usual, it's unscripted. Dun 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 dun. Now, you know, I'm not really probably did that a little too fast, but the lyrics are push it real good. Dun 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 dun. Now maybe you hear it, right? Maybe now you know what I'm talking about. But what they're really saying is pussy real good. Pussy real good. So it's very much just a kind of a well, I don't even know what to call it. Just a mantra of lasciviousness and, you know, urging fornication and worshiping of the flesh, and you know, you name it. You can put all kinds of ways to describe it, but those lyrics are being drilled into people's heads, into their subconscious, so it's familiar to them. And though there's got to be a word for it, where a word is one thing, but it sounds like another. So, you know, Creedence Clearwater Revival, they sing the song. This isn't exactly the same. This isn't exactly the same type of thing, but I see a bad moon rising is the lyric, you know. But a lot of people hear, I see a bathroom on the right, or there's a bathroom on the right. Well, that's not the name of that song, but there's a bad moon rising, and I'm going to have to look up the words. But you know what I'm talking about, where people mishear things. So even though they may be saying it, just the way it's edited, or maybe they actually are singing it, I think they are, and it's probably mixed. So you have one track, like they'll do a blend of tracks. So some people are saying push it real good, and some people are saying pussy real good. And so together, you could argue it's one thing or another. The same thing can be done visually. There was something going around recently about the color of some dress, whether it was blue or green, or you might remember this. All right, I'm going off track again. So today is apparently a big day, and one of the reasons I felt I need to make this video, one of a couple reasons, is that, of course, if you have not been in a coma, all that we hear about is this, just like there was the Russiagate thing, now we've got the impeachment, not only the impeachment in the House, but now we've got the trial in the Senate. And it's on the radio, it's just being broadcast night and day and night. And most people think, it seems to me, especially conservatives, that this is a slam dunk, that he's not going to be impeached, that he'll be acquitted, that this is a non-starter. It's just a distraction, all these things. Now, he may be acquitted today. That's why this says Acquittal Friday, right? Acquittal Friday, question mark. I want to put an emphasis on the question mark. There are, it seems that there may be that they're not going to have witnesses come. I have not been following this. I don't really follow this. I got better things to do. This is a lot of drama and stage theatrics, in my opinion, for many, many desired effects. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Again, the Drudge Report is ostensibly the most popular conservative news aggregate in the entire world, where every day more than the population of many, many countries of the world, people view this and read it and get their news source for it. And I have demonstrated and shown clearly it's a mind control device itself, it's propaganda. There are certain recurring themes, from lasciviousness, just stories they pull up like National Enquirer from all around the world. For example, here's one: woman bites off inch of tongue while kissing. Is that real news? No. Yesterday it was about the I don't even go here every day, but yesterday, and I was looking for it momentarily while I was playing the music, about the Adult Video Awards in Las Vegas. That was featured here. So they covered, the porn industry's basically movie awards, and real seedy little story about what goes on at the awards and the parties afterward and all that kind of thing, right? It doesn't take much imagination to realize it's just, it's all about, it's again normalizing porn, making it mainstream, all these things, okay? Here's one, majority supports decriminalizing sex work. Well, I'm not even going to go into this. I don't plan on going into this. The point being is, like, this headline right here would have you believe that if you do not support decriminalizing prostitution, that's what sex work is, prostitution or other things, that you're in the minority now, right? Is this poll even legitimate? I don't know. How many people did they poll? Who are they? Who took the poll? How do you know, right? It's a headline. Got to be careful, because this is how they're controlling masses with the news and with Hollywood. One of the many tentacles of this giant octopus that has a death grip on your very soul and your very life. Even if you're a Christian, you have these things are attached to your life in one way or another, trying to make you succumb to the world, the flesh, and the devil. Okay, so, and me too. I'm not immune. So anyway, the question mark, right? Here's the most important part of this whole thing, the question mark. I am here to posit to you, not predict, but just to posit and suggest that this is not a slam dunk, and that it is actually possible that there are latent, because this is all done by votes by these senators, that there's a possible upset here. Meaning, okay, maybe it will continue. First of all, the first upset would be the drama and the showdown. Like today, people are thinking, oh, we're coming to a conclusion, but oh no, wait, there's more. So next week, maybe there'll be more witnesses and things, right? Well, not only this may not be an acquittal today, it may not be an acquittal at all. He actually, in my opinion, may be removed from office. Now, even if you're a Democrat, you might are a liberal, which highly unlikely that you are, at least knowingly, that you think that's even possible yourself. Because if you have any sense, some are deluded, right? But if you have any sense, this has just been, well, I don't want to use bad language, but it's just been a show. It's been a ploy. And I'm not saying the guy didn't do anything wrong. He certainly did something unseemly, and obviously it has the appearance of evil. What's the Bible say? Put off the appearance of evil. As much as lies within you, try to be at peace with all men. Well, this is provocative. It was not putting off the appearance of evil, because it could be looked at both ways. You could look at this whole quid pro quo thing, that he was doing it for his own personal political gain. On the other hand, it's equally as valid to say he was doing it for the good of the country. Which is it? Throw the bomb out, or give him the benefit of the doubt? Or is it one of those things, well, he sort of has that, he's able to do that because it is in a sense, and as one of these lawyers, I don't even want to mention his name, he argued that even if he did that, he was doing it in his belief that for him to be reelected was in the best interest of the country. So, whatever, right? Here's the point. I don't want to get into the minutia of this whole thing, the right or wrongs of it, whether he's guilty or not guilty, because it won't matter. What matters is could he actually be removed from office? Yeah. Think about what if that happened. Now, what would be the goal of this? Is this to overthrow an election? Well, that's part of it, but I already know full well that no matter who's in the office, the same powers that shouldn't be are in control of that office, okay? So this is like playing a game of chess, or playing a game of knock'em sock'em robots. That's probably a better analogy. Knock'em sock'em robots, rock'em, whatever it was, rock'em sock'em knock'em robots. And they're duking it out. It all looks dramatic, and who's the hero, who's the villain. They're on the same team, really, in the end of the day. Two wings of the same bird. And so it's not about just overthrowing the election and putting in somebody else so now they can do what they want to do. No, they're doing what they want to do even with this guy in office, okay? But the real prize, the real trophy is the division and upset. And, think about what would happen if Trump was actually forcibly removed from office he actually was impeached by the Senate and removed. Like, you have to step down, resign as president, however it goes down. And then I guess Pence will step in. But then is Pence really going to be an electable guy for the presidency? Or are they going to now get in a Bernie Sanders or, I don't know if they could get the other ones in, but let's say, Bernie Sanders or a Hillary steps in. And several things are happening here, okay? So now it's almost like a bait and switch type of situation in slow motion. Now we've got Trump humiliated, removed from office, one way or the other, and we're talking about the impeachment way right now, so removed from office, and the nation now, it's already so deeply divided. Right? Everybody grows up, at least they used to, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, or even knowing, united we stand, divided we fall. Everyone knows the phrase, divide and conquer. But people let themselves be divided. They've picked scientifically issues that get to people in their core emotions, like abortion, sexual freedoms, I guess you call it. And really, a lot of it comes down to belief in God or not belief in God. And they get people just completely diametrically opposed on a couple core issues. And that's what that's how they keep the two-party system alive, is they hang their hats on these two hot button, these couple of 3 or 4 hot button issues that just get people, they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater just to get one. For example, if they got to choose between, quote, the lesser of two evils, but I would never vote for anybody who believes in abortion. The guy could believe in everything else, but if he's pro-choice, they'll vote for that guy, and he's now their champion and hero, yet he's still running things into the ground and getting other things passed that are completely wicked as well. So anyway, it's a rigged system. That's all there is to say about that. Nothing more. And I just want to posit that, not so fast. This is not over. And there may be a huge upset. And another aspect of this, another part of the objective, is the humiliation ritual. Okay, first of all, let's move off this page here. I did want to touch on the fact the Drudge Report. what it was, what the Sludge report is, which is what I'm doing, which is reporting on this from how I see the news. When I look at this, what the kind of things that go through my mind, okay? And it's already told you, you got the prurient, you got several themes that always occur, whether it's UFOs, pornography, entertainment news and gossip, or just National Enquirer type of seedy little stories that pull them from around the globe. And another theme I want you to pay attention to or be aware of is, here's like Jewish family who were kicked off flight for extremely offensive body odor now suing for discrimination. Okay, I don't know what this was about, but if you have not heard about it yet, and this ties into a lot of things that are going on, huge things that are going on. The Anti-Defamation League, places like this, they are, there's always going to be themes about anti-Semitism. That's the point I'm talking about. Themes about anti-Semitism being on the rise, constant stories about Jews being persecuted, crimes against them, hate speech against them in particular, and things like this, because it's part of the control that is being dusted up in Congress to enact laws and policies and things that make the Jewish people. And again, I want to add this caveat: I don't put all Jews in the same group, and they're not in the same group, and you shouldn't either. They don't themselves put themselves all in the same lump group under the label Jews. Okay, there's a lot of different strains, and the ones I'm talking about are the Ziocrats, the Talmudic Jews, the ones who consider you Goyim, that they are the chosen people. They are actually human beings, and you are not. Okay, those are the ones I'm talking about. And so that's just something to be aware of. Let's move over here to Republicans set to shut down Democratic witness demands. Let's see here. Saying he could get acquitted by today. So today may be a big day. 11th hour dramatic move. Senator Lamar Alexander announced he will vote against a motion to call witnesses in President, I didn't mean that. I guess they call him Trump sometimes. That was just a slip of the tongue. President Trump's impeachment trial. It nearly ends any hope that the Senate will consider new evidence before acquitting Trump as soon as Friday evening. Operative word here, nearly ends. It ain't over till it's over, as it said, right? So anyway, something to be aware of. There's a lot of drama, a lot of like teetering and tottering on the brink all the time. I think of the upset when everyone is even lulled into not paying attention, that it's just more drama, that we've heard of before. They're not going to win. They don't have the votes, this and that. But what if they do? So just like if you think that it was a big thing to watch all the Hillary supporters lose when she lost the election, and all the drama and the falling out from that lingered on like aftershocks of an earthquake to this day. If Trump is impeached, you think about it. Think of all the crybabies that are going to happen, still clinging to that there's a dime's bit of difference. Well, there may be a dime's bit of difference. I mean, I've said before, I'll say it again, I'd rather listen to that guy who speaks in incomplete sentences and almost stream of consciousness than that shrill woman, I mean, I will say he does have that going for him. He's not her. That's about it. He's not her. That's better. That's still better in my book. I mean, I do believe that if that is what happens and she's elected by next year, which you think, well, that could never happen. She hasn't even been running. Oh, yes, she has. She's in the news all the time. She's making the talk show circuit. She's doing this and that. She's commenting, and she's being listened to. Yeah, you think about it. All right, so I want to talk about, so if he is removed, let's talk about humiliation. What would be the other trophy of this? Or what would be the other purpose of this? Why would he even go along with it? Well, the man is 70-some years old. He's had the world over. He's ostensibly a billionaire. He's certainly enjoyed fame and notoriety and infamy and success and women and riches and luxury and gluttonous delicacies, and you name it. He's had the world. Travel, opulence, prominence, status. He's had it all. He's older, man. Sure, he probably has plenty of years left. I don't know. It reports how he eats and Diet Cokes and how unhealthy he may be. And none of us know exactly how much time we have. However, there is something called the humiliation ritual. And I want to talk about it on a couple levels here. First off, I want to talk. I'm looking into this just to share some things with you. I came across this and I thought it was very, very interesting. And it's not exactly related to the type of humiliation ritual that I'm talking about, but something you ought to be aware of, because humiliation is a form of mind control. Another way to look at it is shame. Shame can control people. A lot of people don't do things out of shame. A lot of people are shamed for behavior, and that keeps them from doing that behavior again because of that experience of being shamed, right? We've all known it, being embarrassed or scolded or shamed in front of our siblings or peers or classmates, or done something wrong, openly rebuked, you name it. I mean, shame is a controlling thing, and there is healthy shame. Let me say that we can be healthily shamed. However, or we can experience healthy shame. Humiliation is different from shame or embarrassment. Humiliation really goes at your credibility of being who you are or who you believe you are, which I'll get into in a minute. Anyway, let's see here. The most commonly cited example of humiliation ritual, and I'm talking about a ritual, okay? And this means, what does it mean? It means the social organizers have a ritualistic way of shaming people participating in that social structure, okay? So, an example of humiliation ritual is Eastern Bloc shopkeepers being pressured to place quote-unquote workers of the world unite signs in their front windows. If you didn't display the sign and the local party functionary stopped by, you'd be in trouble. Now, this practice continued well into the 20th century when it had become obvious to anyone with a brain that there would be no global communist uprising. We know the guys in charge knew it. That wasn't the point. They never thought that the revolution is going to come if only enough shopkeepers displayed little red stars. I think this through, okay? They knew from history, this is the crux of the matter, that forcing people to publicly state manifest untruths demoralized them. That's how humiliation rituals work. Okay? If you can sap the people's fortitude until they willingly recite patent falsehoods, they won't have the fortitude to challenge the elite. Now that's going on with the gender issue. Young people are just, they may even know that by this non-binary stuff is mostly nonsense. I say mostly because there are people who are born with deformities. There are people who are really mixed up and they've been conditioned certain ways, and there's a few things. But this non-binary thing where you can just decide one day to be a boy or a girl, or something of 98 other genders. Okay, that's a real thing. People believe there's 100 different genders. They're being humiliated, whether they know it or not. They are being sapped of inner fortitude because at a certain age they're being indoctrinated to go against even they're being trained to not listen to their insides. Think about that, right? A good example of the left's current favorite humiliation ritual, came across my Twitter timeline yesterday. I'm reading, by the way, if you're just listening. I'm not a Twitterer, really. It's astounding that there are any conservatives who still think the left's noises about gay rights are on the level. Yet there they are, publicly endorsing I didn't write this. Publicly endorsing butt stuff while wondering why it still hasn't won them any brownie points with the death cult. The death cult being liberals and that, and that's what this guy's woman. I think it's a woman who wrote this. So there, you've seen it. People will. It's like they're talking on both sides of the mouse, working both sides of the fence. All right. The reason for these housebroken conservatives' confusion is, as usual, their penchant for linear thinking. They can't imagine anyone having ulterior motives, or if they can, they imagine some deliberate mass conspiracy. The SJWs getting daily marching orders from the Central Committee. In reality, Death Cult works more like a school of fish. They're always sending subtle signals to each other, produce what looks like a consciously coordinated movement. Think about that. Now this is basically describing what I would describe in spiritual terms, being people work, the Bible say that works in the spirit of disobedience. I can't think of how it goes. There's a spirit that works in those who don't know the Lord, basically, right? There's a mass I'm grasping at a word here. Zeitgeist, spirit of the age, something like that. But there's, essentially it's evil spirits. It's just like the Lord turned to Peter and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." That Satan was working through him. Same thing. So that's why conservatives trying to be more pro-LGBT, anti-racist, feminist than the left never works. They forget they're dealing with a heretical religion, not a bunch of individuals who subscribe to an ideology. And that's largely true if you think about it. If you ever, especially the younger ones, they're going with their feelings or facts. They pick up things. They go along with what they believe is the popular, the crowd. They don't want to be at odds with it. They don't have any moral fiber or truth in them. And if they do, it's been subverted by this kind of thing. At some point in their lives, they don't have any belief in their own inner guidance system of their critical thinking or their heart, because they've been demoralized. Okay? We're all being demoralized. That's the assault. We're being demoralized. And I've looked up the word demoralization before, and you should too. Look up what it means to be demoralized. All right. To the Death Cult, a conservative proclaiming his commitment to gay rights is LARPing with his fly open. Okay, LARPing I think stands for live action role play. I don't understand necessarily the fly open thing. Well, basically, your pants are down. He's burning his pinch of incense and professing Caesar's divinity while visibly crossing his fingers. The cult knows he's not one of them, so his attempts to placate them come off as sacrilege. There you go, right? So that's also why conservatives lost the culture war. The point of a humiliation ritual is to make the enemy parrot your side's moral code. For decades, conservatives have dutifully performed every humiliation ritual the death cult liturgists have devised. This isn't a battle of divergent policies, it's a war of conflicting morals. In asymmetrical warfare, whoever captures the moral level wins. Accepting the death cult's moral framework is suicide, as conservatives have proven. Beating this enemy will mean rejecting their morality wholesale. Okay, so I shared this because I came across it and it was worthwhile to consider about demoralization and humiliation, coming into understanding what humiliation ritual is. Well, there's more to it than that, so I'm going to get rid of that. Here is an article from Psychology Today on ritual humiliation, and there's a lot more. It talks about humiliation and shame, but I want to read this part. Ritual humiliation in traditional society can serve to enforce a particular social order, or, as with hazing rituals, to emphasize that the group takes precedence over its individual members. Now think this through, okay? Humiliation ritual can mean disappearing off the scene. Maybe it looks like you died and you're gone. You lost everything that you thought you had, or you knew the deal going into it, or that's part of the deal that you might be selected to keep everyone else in line to realize, look, we're not going to kill you, but we're going to take all of the things that you enjoy. You still have a wonderful life, but somewhere else, your life here effectually is you're dying to that person. You're going into kind of like a witness protection program, but it's a humiliation, okay? So will that happen to the president? I don't know. It's funny because we could get into talking about predictive programming, but I want to get through this. I don't want to be long because you don't want to sit there and watch or listen to a long video. You just want to hit the points, okay? So forgive me, but it just starts rolling and it's hard to stop it. However, there's been predictive programming of things that, even scenes, like I remember one in particular, Trump coming down an elevator. He's wearing a red tie and maybe a blue jacket, and he always wears a suit. And there's people around, and it's like it was a photograph. But you go back, I don't know, 5-10 years, whatever, on The Simpsons. There's a cartoon scene of exactly the same scene. It's just bizarre. And this happened with 9/11. It happened just the other day. If there's a cartoon about Kobe Bryant, he crashing in a helicopter. Okay, so if you know anything about that scene, you may have already picked up that people have been interpreting that. And there's a lot of numerology. There's just a lot of things that indicate that things are not what they seem. And there's predictive programming. Well, I say all that to say that even if he's not impeached, there can be, and this may be a backup plan to actually remove from office and affect this whole, not only just turning the election, but causing like a psychological civil war, to just throwing gas on the fire to what already is sort of a civil war. So The Simpsons or something, he's been featured like he'd been taken out, like he was assassinated or something like that, in cartoons in recent years, past years, before he was ever president or before he even was running for president. There was cartoons. I think it was The Simpsons as well. I don't remember. I don't know. Cartoons aren't my forte, but I have seen clips of that, and it seems that they played like he had become president, and they showed him, I believe, after he'd been killed. So these people are not gods, and they may serve the god of this world, as it were, Satan, but he's not omnipotent. Things don't go the way he plans, and neither for these people. So they may have a backup plan. So maybe one or the other, how it all goes down. A contingency plan. So it may be that something goes off in these votes and it doesn't work the way they want. One way or the other. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying, don't dismiss it that he's not going to be removed from office. And if he is, that was never the point exactly. It was part of the point. Part of the point being a humiliation ritual. Okay? So let me go on here. Remember, emphasize the group takes precedence over its individual members. Now, make no mistake, this man in office is a member of a secret society. Which one? They're all connected. I don't know, but it's a secret and it's a society, and he is very evidently a part of this group. I don't care what he talks about draining the swamp, because he never did it, did he? Many tribal societies feature complex initiation rites. Now remember that too. This is complex. That's tribal societies. Complex initiation rites. You think that these people with all the money in the world to do whatever they want, and all the timeline, controlling the narrative, creating their own dramas, maybe for their own entertainment in part, can't make it complex? Again, think back of Shakespeare or even Seinfeld, okay? Or even, say, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm not endorsing these shows, but how they weave narratives and things like this and storylines together. Very like a tapestry. Many tribal societies feature complex initiation rites designed to defuse the threat posed by fit and fertile young men to the male gerontocracy. Gerontocracy is going to be your old boy network, okay? These rites sometimes include a painful and bloody circumcision, which of course is symbolic of castration. In hierarchical societies, the elites go to great lengths to protect and uphold their reputation and standing, while the lower orders submit to prescribed degrees of debasement. That's you and me, brother. You and me, sister. At least in their mind, being lower orders. Remember, Bible say that in the end, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Never forget that. As a society becomes more egalitarian, such institutionalized humiliation is increasingly resented and resisted, which can give rise to violent outbursts and even outright revolution. Because elites live by their pride, and because they embody their people and culture, their humiliation can be especially poignant and emblematic. In early 260, now this, I didn't know this is weird, and I want to make another point about things with this story that I just learned myself this morning. In early year 260, after suffering defeat at the Battle of Edessa, the Roman Emperor Valerian arranged a meeting with Shapur I the Great, the Shahanshah, King of Kings of the Sassanid Empire, which I'd never heard of. Shapur betrayed the truce and seized Valerian, holding him captive for the rest of his life. Remember, he's a Roman emperor. According to accounts, Shapur used Valerian as a human footstool when mounting his horse. After Valerian offered Shapur a huge ransom for his release, he was flayed alive, or by another account, made to swallow molten gold. His cadaver was then skinned, and the skin stuff was straw and displayed as a trophy. Well, this might be a little different in the sense that back in those days, the world hadn't not quite yet come together. Excuse me. I mean, we still seem to have factions and countries and rivals and people against peoples, and but there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes where seeming enemies are not really enemies. They look that way to the rest of the world. Back then, maybe not as much. Let's see here. Humiliation need not involve an act of aggression or coercion. People can readily be humiliated through more passive means, such as being ignored or overlooked, taken for granted, or denied a certain right or privilege. For example, denied the presidency when you thought you were promised it, aka Hillary Clinton losing the election. They can also be humiliated by being rejected, abandoned, abused, betrayed, or used as a means to an end. Now think about this. Is Trump being used as a means to an end? Would him being removed from office be part of that deal? I believe so. Would him being taken out of office in some fashion that's dramatic? And yeah, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and I don't know that he knows that's the plan, if indeed it is the plan, but I believe these people know that's part of the deal, because the group is more important than the individual, and they have to submit to that to have what they're given. It's part of their worship, really. Does it mean they'll really die other than a natural death? I don't necessarily think so. I don't necessarily think so. Because I do believe with the kind of powers, as big as the world is, the technologies they have, the life that could be offered to someone to give up a life in basically the theater that we're living in, and they've created, the powers that shouldn't be have created our society as almost like a diorama. It's like an aquarium, okay? It's sort of outside of real life. It's all it's all works according to rules and laws and jurisdictions and parameters that are not reality, are not the way things ought to be. And what is it to them if they're removed to a paradise part of the earth with every creature comfort, everything they could ever want, and another little society where they can enjoy fame and status and a second life? Does that sound fantastical to you? Well, perhaps it sounds fantastical to you that a man could be at the top of their society, of the Sassanid Empire, and be so barbaric as to make someone a footstool who was formerly a king for years, and then flay them alive or make them swallow molten metal, and then skin their body and stuff it with straw and display it to everyone as a trophy. Does it sound like a madman? Do you know the depths of evil? Do you know the depths of evil? Do you think this is something ancient, that like there's a rare psychopath like this? I got some bad news for you, sunshine. These people are still around. They still have this kind of a disdain for their foes, and their foes are you and I, the Goyim. All right? Get it in your head, and try to remember that. So again, I'm talking about humiliation rituals and the potential that he could actually, this is not over. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, moving on. So I just wanted to also point out, again, I wanted to talk to you about some resources. I actually was looking for a book called Hellstorm to share the link with someone, and found out that it's not on Amazon anymore. And what's that about? It's about, because recently the 75th anniversary of Auschwitz, and of course that became a big push for never forget, the Holocaust, never again, all that kind of stuff. If you haven't heard it, you are good for you in a sense. I mean, you're maybe in a coma, but good for you. And I discovered that there have been a couple books in the last few years that were banned from Amazon. Right here, under pressure, Amazon stopped selling Holocaust denial books. That's what they call you if you question the Holocaust. Just if you question the Holocaust, you're automatically an anti-Semite, a hater. You're as good as a Nazi, really, and you're a Holocaust denier. That means you cannot ask the question, you cannot look at the evidence, you cannot think about it. You must believe it. Okay? Which ought to be a red flag right there. So, these books, Holocaust, the Greatest Lie Ever Told, The Hoax of the 20th Century, The Case Against Presumed Extermination of Jewry, and Did 6 Million Really Die? These were banned, and this was in 2017, I think. Yeah. 2017, by Daniel Sugarman. I just noticed this. Well, that's a related story. This is Nathan Jaffe. I don't know the origin of that last name, but Sugarman, you can kind of think that might be Jewish in itself. And remember, this is from the JC, which stands for, well, it's something Jewish, because look right here, 5 Shvat 5780. That's Jewish year. The Jew something. Contact us. Let's see what it's called. The JC Network. Let's see. The Jewish Chronicle. That's what it's called. Out of London. Anyway, so this is in 2017, March 8, 2017. Amazon stopped selling some Holocaust denial books, which prompted me to look in a little further. I found these banned by Amazon as well. And all of them, pretty much, have to do with, like here's one, the Lecter Report. Now, Lecter, this guy, or Leichter, he was, and it's a scientific report, Fred Leichter Jr. is an American expert on gas chambers. He did a report of the alleged execution in gas chambers at Auschwitz. Now, there you go. So, they banned his book. They banned another book of his, his third report. Banned Holocaust Interview. Let's see here. These are all books banned, and they pretty much, you can see, Did 6 Million Really Die? Blaspheming Against the Holy People's Holy Hoax by Michael Hoffman. You get the idea, right? It's 2 pages of books here. The Day Amazon Murdered History. That's interesting. Who has time to read all these books? How much do you need to read? I mean, once the story falls apart for you, you don't need to keep going. Once you know the stove's hot, you burn your finger, you don't need to keep touching it. You see what I mean? You don't need to read every book. I mean, use your brain, read. All right, there you go. And I want to provide a resource on that one for you. I got a couple resources I want to provide. Real Jew News. I've talked about this guy before. I played his videos. His name is Brother Nathaniel Kapner. He's a street evangelist. He grew up as a Jew. Now he's an Orthodox Christian. He wishes to warn how Jewry is destroying Christianity throughout the world. And you can extrapolate it from there. I will say that not every Jew is your enemy. Okay? By and large, many are born into whatever household they're born into, the same as you were, and they can't help it anymore. You can help whether you're white, black, a boy or a girl, Oriental, you name it. Okay, or Hispanic. You can't. You're born this way into this situation. And think about someone who, like I know of a Jewish girl who's like attacked her looks, and because she's a Jew, she didn't really do anything wrong. But here's the thing: she's Jewish by tradition. She may not even be that into it, but that's her identity, and she's a woman, and she's about her family. You think about it like that. Is she to be hated? No.
Is she destroying the world? No, she's probably as deceived as most people are, and a lot of lies and things like that. And like we all are, we all individually are going to stand before God and account for our sins and for the light that was given us, for our, did we make the living God our God? Did we accept salvation through Christ for the penalty of our sins? So our account for the sins is we plead the blood of Jesus, not his real name, but we plead the blood of the Son of God who died for our sins because he loved us so much. He died for our sins in our place. That's your account for your sin. That's the only one that passes muster. We are without excuse. Even though we were born into sin, all these things, excuse me, we have one plea, and that's Christ, save us. Christ, I'm a sinner, wash me, cleanse me, make me give me a right heart. Anyway, Brother Nathaniel Kapner, he has a very unique style, but he is off the chain. I mean off the chain, off the hook, a two-sided razor. He is sharp. I've watched his videos for a number of years, and in recent months, probably since been banned from YouTube, you name it, he has gone. Doesn't pull any punches, and he knows what he's talking about. And may the Lord protect him and continue to bless him. And I hope that you will check him out. So the Real Jew News, and then a couple other ones. I'll get to that in a minute. Well, I'll just tell you right now, since I'm on resources. I would encourage you, this is a college in Michigan. They have lots of free courses, primarily on Constitution. There's just a lot of great stuff, and they're really well done. Really, really well done, and they're free. I would highly recommend that you check it out. Okay? So another gal here is this constitutional attorney, Chris Ann Hall, Juris Doctor, I think is JD. She's out of Florida. She and her husband have a show on YouTube called Chris Ann Hall JD. Makes videos almost every day. You'll learn a lot about the law and the Constitution. She actually travels around the country and educates law enforcement and people. She's a mighty woman, mighty good gal. Her and her husband have basically a ministry with this, and you ought to check it out. So there's that. So I want to talk about the coronavirus that's coming out, because no doubt you're being bombarded by this. The coronavirus first emerged from a seafood market in the Chinese city of Wuhan, but the theory has been challenged. So has the real source of the novel virus spreading across the globe been revealed? Well, Jesus said, not only in the last days, take heed that no man deceive you, but there will be wars, rumors of wars, brother rising against brother, nation against nation. There will be earthquakes in various places, and there'll be pestilences too, right? So we're having that, aren't we? This thing is just chock full of ads. I want to get down to what I want to talk about, and that's the fact that it says here the earliest person fell ill on December 1st, 2019. Then apparently, previously the World Health Organization and Chinese health authorities said the first patient had okay, I'm going too fast. Authorities said the first patient had symptoms on December 8th, which means that if the data is correct, then Professor Lucy says the first human infections would have had to occur earlier than thought in November 2019 or even prior to that. Now, why am I getting into this? First of all, fear not. Fear not. We are being assaulted with fear, not a pestilence. The pestilence is fear at this point. What are the odds you're going to get this? Right now, getting it right now is very unlikely. It's possible, if it's even a real thing. Now, that's another topic, okay? So, I will say that what I want you to think about, first of all, is that the World Health Organization and the Chinese officials, they've known about this disease before you heard about it.
The president knew about this disease. Now, this is your president who's all about borders, all about, borders, protecting the citizens, and he's done nothing, really. It's made it worse, all this kind of stuff. But here's where, more than people coming through the southern border, taxing the system, how about disease coming over on airplanes, flying in the heart of the country, and creating this contagion vector of where exponentially more and more people are going to die inside our own country. Did he stop flights from China? No. Even now, have they stopped flights from China? I don't think so. And with all the trade talks with China, where this could have been one of the leverage tools to really take total control in some way, because you need to cut them off. You want to quarantine anything coming from that country. If they've got an infectious disease that kills people and it's spreading quickly, and it goes for 10 days with no symptoms, so a week to 10 days you don't even have any symptoms, that's very scary. But as soon as you know about it, you don't stop it coming in the country. That's almost treasonous, if not treasonous. If anything, your president you're voting for just jeopardized the safety of your wife and children, your mom and dad, grandchildren, yourself. Excuse me. So I want to, not to make you more afraid, I just want to point out that, those borders weren't closed. He didn't take care of the border for this, did he? So think about that. Do the powers that shouldn't be really have your best interest? Are they telling you the truth about anything? Do they ever deliver? I'll tell you what gets delivered. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. If you've never seen the movie They Live, you need to watch the movie They Live. It's kind of cheesy, a little bit of it, but it's extremely fascinating. Guy puts on the sunglasses that have special powers to reveal the world as it really is, and every sign says obey, consume, and other things. We live in the same world. Psalm 91. I want to tell you about Psalm 91. Okay? You need to hear it today. I need to read it today. And then we're done. Okay? Psalm 91. You belong to him. These promises are for you. I'm going to read it to you, but I'm going to go through it first, and then I'll read it. And God places you under a shadow to live there. He shelters you, and he alone is your refuge, or ought to be. He's your place of safety, and he is your God. He rescues you from every trap. He protects you from the fatal plague. He shields you with his wings, and he arms you with his faithful promises, which is this. Even this psalm is for you. He orders angels to protect you wherever you go. He will rescue you because you love him. And he will make you great because you trust him. And he will answer you when you call on him. He will be with you in trouble, and he will rescue and honor you. He will satisfy you with a full life and give you salvation. And we go from salvation to salvation, faith to faith. We aren't just saved one time. We are saved again and again from continuous trials and tribulations and fiery darts in our lives. But the psalm itself reads, Psalm 91 verse 1 starts, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I used to wonder, what's the secret place? Well, it could be a couple of things. My interpretation of this, not a private interpretation. I think there's a reasonable way to look at this. Your prayer closet, your prayer time, your time alone with God, and most certainly it's the Word of God, and as it dwells in your heart. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High. You could read it in a sense, he that dwells in prayer and communion with the Most High. He that dwells in the Word of the Most High, the promises of the Most High, abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And he will say, and it reads in the first person though, as you know, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Well, we know the Bible say that the Word is God. I will say of the Word is my refuge and my fortress, my my God, in his word will I trust. See, it's the same. Because he is the word. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler. His word shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler. His promises that you have faith in. And from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings shall you trust. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. His truth. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor for the destruction that wastes at the noonday. 1,000 shall fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you behold and see the reward of the wicked, because you have made the Lord, which is your refuge, even the Most High, your habitation. I'm reading it now to you in the second person here. There shall no evil befall you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over you, and keep you in all of your ways. They shall bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shall you trample under feet. Because he has set his love upon you, therefore will he deliver you. And the Lord will set him high. He will set you on high. Her too, right? He will set you on high because you have known his name. You shall call upon him, and he will answer you. And he will be with you in times of trouble. And he will deliver you and honor you. And with long life he will satisfy you and show you his salvation. I want to read a commentary a bit on 91:3. The great encouragement he gives to others to do likewise, not only from his own experience of the comfort of it, for in that there might possibly be excuse me. But from the truth of God's... I'm sorry, that was hard to follow. I had to turn my head over here and I lost my place. The great encouragement he gives from others to trust in him is what he's saying. Not only from his own experience of the comfort of it, but from the truth of God's promise in which there neither is nor can there be any deceit. Surely he shall deliver thee. Those who have themselves found the comfort of making God their refuge cannot but desire that others may do so. Now here it is promised. Number 1, that believers shall be kept from those mischiefs which they are in imminent danger of, and which would be fatal to them, as in from the snare of the fowler, which is laid unseen and catches the unwary prayer on a sudden, and from the noisome pestilence, which seizes men unawares, and against which there is no guard, or no protection is one way to read that. This promise protects the natural life, and is often fulfilled with our preservation from those dangers which are very threatening and very near, while yet we ourselves are not apprehensive of them, any more than the bird is of the snare of the fowler. We owe it, more than we are sensible, to the care of the divine providence that we have been kept from the infectious diseases and out of the hands of the wicked and unreasonable. Number 2, the spiritual life, which is protected by divine grace from the temptations of Satan, which are as the snares of the fowler, and from the contagion of sin, which is the noisome pestilence. He that has given grace to be the glory of the soul will create a defense upon all that glory. God himself will be their protector. So think about that. Read Psalm 91 for yourself today. If you are being assaulted by fear, or if you're feeling anxious in these days, fear not. The Lord is with you in Christ. May it always be so. So there you go. Let's see. Right on an hour. Here I was hoping for 15 minutes again. I just can't do it. I probably ought to just stick to one short topic. So thank you very much. Make it a great day.